Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a ceasefire is extended as Israel and Hamas agree to 2 more days at least of no fighting. And people begin paying their final respects to former First Lady Rosalyn Carter.
Plus, we are tracking a winter feel to kick off the week, but some near-average weather is looming. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A White House official confirms Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend the ceasefire another 2 days. The announcement came on the final day of the initial 4-day truce, in which Hamas released a number of hostages each day. Israel's military says the Red Cross confirmed 11 hostages were released today. The two sides paused fighting and allowed some humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. CBS's Nicole Skanga reports from the White House.
8-year-old Ella El-Kayam and her 15-year-old sister Daphna embraced their mother Sunday for the first time since Hamas took them captive 51 days ago and killed their father. But Israel says another recently released hostage, 84-year-old Elma Evraham, is in critical condition after being deprived of her medicine for 7 weeks.
Right now, she's struggling for her life.
Hamas also released 4-year-old American-Israeli girl Abigail Moradon, whose parents were also killed in the October 7th attacks.
I don't know if she knows that she had no more father and mother.
The White House says it welcomes the 2-day extension of the humanitarian pause in Gaza, in which Hamas has agreed to release another 20 women and children.
We would, of course, hope to see the pause extended further, and that will depend upon Hamas continuing to release hostages.
In the West Bank, Palestinians cheered as Palestinian prisoners returned home. As part of the ceasefire deal, Israel has released more than 100 Palestinian women and teenagers detained in Israeli jails before the war started. The truce has enabled the United Nations to deliver more desperately needed food, water, and medicine to Gaza, although officials say it is still not even close to the amount of humanitarian aid needed in the war-torn territory. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, the White House.
The White House says about 8 or 9 U.S. citizens are believed to be among the hostages still being held in Gaza. The suspect charged with shooting 3 Palestinian students in Vermont this past weekend has pleaded not guilty. James Eaton is facing 3 charges of attempted murder. In an affidavit, Eaton reportedly shot the students Saturday night while they were just out for a walk. All 3 had gunshot wounds and are still in the hospital. 2 of the 3 students were wearing traditional Palestinian scarves at the time.
The Saturday evening shooting of 3 young Palestinian college students visiting Burlington on their holiday break was one of the most shocking and disturbing events in this city's history.
Eaton is being held without bail.
We are tracking some calm, also cool conditions across the mountains on this Monday evening. Here's a live look courtesy of the Kentucky Mesonet from Pulaski County, and you can see skies continue to clear across the region at this hour, and because of that, those temperatures will fall as we go into this evening. Most of us right now in the middle to upper 30s and a few lower 30s in Southwest Virginia, down to 32 for Clintwood, 28 over in Wise, 39 for Manchester, also London, and 37 over in Jackson. And that will be the big story on Monday, also Tuesday, that very cold weather is going to continue. Up on first alert pinpoint Doppler, we are drying out, also clearing out as high pressure begins to sit over the region on Monday, also Tuesday. So because of the clear sky, also the calm winds, those temperatures are going to tumble once the sun sets. And we wake up in the middle to upper 20s by Tuesday morning, some lower 20s and maybe some upper teens by Wednesday morning, but some near average weather is on the way by Thursday, also Friday, also tracking an increase in those rain chances by Friday and into this weekend. So a busy forecast on the way. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. The public began honoring the life of former First Lady Rosalyn Carter today with several events in her memory. CBS's Skylar Henry is in Atlanta with more on the somber processions.
Past and present members of the Carter's Secret Service detail carried Rosalyn Carter's casket and flanked the hearse as it left a medical center near Plains, Georgia. Family members followed to the Georgia Southwestern State University Health and Human Sciences complex named for Mrs. Carter. They laid twin wreaths in her honor, and crowds gathered to watch the motorcade go by. This is the first of 3 days of remembrance events for the former First Lady, who died last week at the age of 96.
I just thank you especially for the life of Rosalyn Carter and what she means to each and every single one of us.
The Carter's niece prayed for the former First Lady at the Carter's beloved Maranatha Baptist Church on Sunday. Mourners and visitors have been flocking here to the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum here in Atlanta. The former First Lady's body will lie in repose through this evening.
Well, she was wonderful. She always remembered to talk about my son.
Meredith Evans is the director here and got to know Mrs. Carter personally.
For me, this is a day of really considering and thinking about all that she's done and what she personally may mean to you or to me.
The public is invited to pay respects through the evening. A memorial service is set for Tuesday. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Atlanta.
Rosalyn Carter was 96 years old. Her husband, former President Jimmy Carter, who is 99 and receiving hospice care, is expected.
Which drug schedules a sentencing court is to consult in order to determine whether a prior state drug crime is a match with those federal schedules.
Some argue the definition should follow the drug schedules that were in effect when the federal gun offense was committed, while others say the definition should be at the time of sentencing for that offense. Florida Governor and presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis is meeting with financial supporters of the newly formed Super PAC Fight Right. That's from a memo that went out to DeSantis supporters today. DeSantis' campaign manager says Fight Right has guaranteed minimal overhead costs, with 100% of contributions going directly to TV ads. The campaign also says the new Super PAC will work closely with Never Back Down, another pro-DeSantis political organization. Donald Trump is urging a New York appeals court to continue to pause the gag order against him in his civil fraud trial. The New York Attorney General's office and the court want the gag order back in place. They made that request last week after what they describe as a rise in serious and credible threats that have been made against Judge Arthur Engoron's chamber. Today, President Biden launched the White House Council on Supply Chain Resilience. The president announced more than 30 new actions to strengthen critical supply chains. That's in an effort to keep the pandemic-era consumer goods shortages from ever happening again. The council is made up of senior White House officials and cabinet members.
I'm charging this group to ensure that our supply chains remain secure, diversified, resilient, and into the future.
President Biden also announced he is invoking the Defense Production Act amid drug shortages, a move that will permit $35 million of investments in the manufacturing of key medicines. President Biden will miss the opening of the Global Climate Summit in Dubai this week. Instead, Special Envoy John Kerry and White House Climate Advisor Ali Zaidi will be attending, among other U.S. leaders. The annual UN Climate Summit includes nearly 200 countries. President Biden has attended the past 2 years. Climate change has been a key issue for the president going into the 2024 election, especially among young voters. Newly unsealed court documents claim Meta collected data from children's Instagram accounts. Attorneys from 33 states accused the tech giant of receiving more than 1 million reports of under 13 users on Instagram from 2019 to 2023. They say Meta knowingly refused to shut down a majority of these accounts. The lawsuit claims Meta collected the children's personal information without their parents' consent. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, it can be easy to stray from your budget around the holidays, particularly if you plan on giving gifts to friends and family. We have 3 ways to help you save this holiday season.
Plus, we are dry this evening, but higher rain chances are on the way. Your first alert forecast after this break.